me. Red pill or blue pill?
Blue?
Blue pill? Okay.
It's kind of there.
Oh, we need that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. We'll need this, but we'll put that back up. All right. Let me check some of this. B660 Gaming X. That is all good. CPU cooler, Hyper 212. Nice. And then CX650M. I think we're good. Okay, the RAM, the case, yeah, they're at home, but we'll get to this build shortly. Okay, hello and welcome to the ScatterVolt channel, and today I'm gonna bring you guys my updated $1,000 gaming PC build for 2022 and early 2023. So in today's PC build guide video, I'll be showing you how to put together this computer step by step, the parts going inside of it, how to install Windows, graphics card drivers, and anything else you need to set up this computer, and showing you the 1440p gaming benchmarks possible with this PC, and then closing out with my final thoughts on this $1,000 build. So with all that said, let's get into it. All right, so let's get to building. And before I get ahead of myself, if you want to build this computer, all you're gonna need is a Phillips head screwdriver for everything related to the PC case and your motherboard screws, then a Phillips head 1 screwdriver for our M.2 SSD, and then an 8GB or bigger flash drive for our Windows 10 bootable media device for when we finish the computer and decide to install Windows on it. So for our motherboard, we are using the Gigabyte B660 Gaming X AX DDR4 motherboard. And if I can get this thing out, there we go. The reason why I chose this motherboard is one, it comes with built-in Wi-Fi, so that eliminates the need of a Wi-Fi card needed for this build. You can see why, because we have these two Wi-Fi antenna plugs or whatever that you hook up your antennas to, so that'll take care of Wi-Fi for the motherboard. It's also high quality, looks good, ATX, so it's gonna fit our case. And I believe as of filming this video, this is 140 bucks, so not a bad price. Anyways, in the box comes your manual. You might need this. You're gonna wanna scan these QR codes. Here are some additional screws which you don't need for this build. Here is your Wi-Fi antenna. You will need this. Here is a SATA cable. You don't really need this, unless you were to reuse, say, like your old hard drive from an old computer and just wanted some additional storage for all your games. And if you could guess by the motherboard, for the processor, we're going with an Alder Lake CPU, which in this case is the Intel Core i5-12400 or the Intel Core i5-12400F. It doesn't matter which one you go with, but if you're a content creator, you might want the 12400, the non-F version, like the one we're using in this build guide, because you can use the Intel integrated graphics on the 12400F as an additional encoder for video editing, like say in DaVinci Resolve, which is kind of nice to have. But if you're a straight gamer, save yourself the money and get the 12400F. Additionally, we're also given a CPU cooler with the 12400, which comes with its own thermal paste. However though, if you do want to upgrade your CPU cooler, then getting something like the Hyper 212 from Cooler Master would be the way to go, because the 12400 does run a little bit hot on the stock cooler. So do keep that in mind, although this isn't necessary. So for our storage, we're just going to hold our games, Windows, and other main programs on. I've chosen a 1TB M.2 SSD, this one specifically being the Inland Performance Plus Edition, which is a TLC based drive with a built-in DRAM controller and is about 85 bucks, I believe. So good money, good performance, and good value. Please don't get an SSD without a DRAM controller. Don't get one of the cheap ones, just don't do that for yourself. And then finally, for the RAM, I'm going with a 2x8GB kit of RAM. That is 3600 megahertz with a CAS latency of 18. Doesn't matter the brand, it doesn't matter the specific RAM sticks, but just get a kit that fits that RAM and specification, like this kit from XPG, which comes with some cool RGB, which we're gonna show off in the build. All right, let's go ahead and start building. So unbox your processor from this clear plastic coating, put that right there. So to install this, go ahead and unlatch that, pull this up. On the bottom left side of the processor, there will be a triangle, either a really tiny gold one or a little like faded gray one that you'll be able to see. And you want to line it up with the triangle on the bottom left of the socket. You're gonna want to drop that in place. And once that is in all the way, bring back down this. This little black plastic thing should pop off, and then this tab should connect with this lever, bring it down, and put that back in place. So the processor name should be legible as if you were reading something on a piece of paper facing upright. Next, let's go ahead and install our RAM. And we're gonna wanna go ahead and use these two slots right here. Slots A2 and B2 on the motherboard. This is universal for any dual channel kit of RAM like what we're using today. And you notice that this will only go in one way because these little inserts on the RAM stick are not the same size on each side. So bring this in, line it up, press it in. You should hear a click, and then do the other one, line it up, press it in, and there we have it. Make sure these are clicked in all the way. Now let's go ahead and install our M.2 SSD into the motherboard by unscrewing this with our Phillips head 1 screwdriver. This should come off, and as expected, here's a little plastic covering we need to take off. There we go. Set that aside for now, and this M.2 SSD will only go in one way. There we go. That is in. That's really funny. It's upside down, but whatever, because it's going to be covered up by this heat shield. Slide that back in, put it in the hole, screw it in. There we go. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to install the CPU cooler onto the 12400F. It doesn't matter which orientation you place this. Just make sure to line it up with the 4 holes right here. All right. And this should be pretty simple. You should just press in one side. That's in. Press in another side. That's in. Press in another side. That's in. Press in the last side. And I think that's in. Let's go ahead and do a test. Yep, let's flip it around. You can see all of the little prongs from the CPU cooler are through those holes, so this CPU cooler is firmly in place. Then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna plug in the CPU cooler fan into the CPU fan header onto the motherboard where it says CPU fan. So let's go ahead and plug this in, and there we go. You should arrive to this spot with your motherboard, with your RAM, CPU cooler, and M.2 SSD installed, and make sure you take off any miscellaneous packaging and plastic that's still on the motherboard. Okay, so now let's go ahead and install the motherboard into the PC case. And before you get too excited, well, you know, I'm actually excited, so I'm just unscrewing the front or the side panel right now. There might be something in here we could use for the build. Okay. See that plastic baggie? We got to open up the back side of the PC case. All right, so here is a plastic baggie from the back side of the PC case that includes the screws and some extra zip ties. We'll mostly need these screws for the motherboard, the power supply, and our graphics card. But there was no case manual that came with this, so I'm assuming it comes with you online when you order this or through GameDS's website, but we'll see. Okay, so in order to insert the motherboard into the PC case, we've got to make sure that all the standoffs in the PC case are covered off from the holes on the motherboard. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes on the motherboard. And in the PC case, if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 standoff screwed into the PC case, but we're missing 3 other ones that'll go here, here, and here since we have a wider motherboard. So to install the rest of those standoffs into the PC case, you're going to use these little standoff screws right here, which are found from that baggie we were messing with earlier. And we're going to put these in one by one into those missing holes. There we go. All right, so with our 9 standoffs installed into the PC case, let's go ahead and drop down our motherboard into the case, line it up with those standoffs. There we go. So once you've got these standoffs covered off from these standoff screws, let's go ahead and use these. Just actually screw in the motherboard into the PC case, and let's take care of these one by one. All right, I've got all 9 screws making contact with the standoffs. So now with all of them in, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten in one side, tighten in another side, like a crisscross pattern, to make sure there's equal pressure on all sides of the motherboard. All right, motherboard is all the way in. All right, so with your motherboard installed into the PC case, let's go ahead and install the power supply, which for this build, go with a 650 watt 80 plus bronze power supply. It could be from any brand, it can be any model, but some are better than others. Like this Corsair CX650M, which I think you can get for a really good price right now from Microcenter, which is why we're going with it for this build guide. 650 watts is gonna be probably what you want for this build guide, considering the graphics card and processor we're putting inside of it. But if you wanted something a little more future-proof, then look into an 80 plus gold 750 watt or 850 watt power supply, which I'll also have linked in the description below with this one. Oh wow, Corsair knows how to make good power supplies. This is pretty nice. Also in the box comes some of those spare power cables which we'll need for our graphics card and maybe a few other things, because this is a modular power supply. So as you can see, there's some additional ports here on the power supply, so we can pick and choose what we want to plug in. That way we don't have all the cables and all the mess in the back side of the computer. And here's our actual power cable we'll plug into the wall socket to turn on this computer. Here's all of our cables. So with our modular power supply, we already have the motherboard and CPU power connectors already actually attached to the power supply, so we don't need to mess with those. But then here we have our PCIe modular power connector, which we will need to actually power on our graphics card, so do have one of these on hand. And then here is our SATA power connector, which we would use if we had a SATA SSD or a hard drive, but we do have some RGB fans in this PC case, and this will help power it on. Other than that though, you don't need any other power cables to make this build work. Plug in this end to where our PCI power is, and I'm gonna plug in this power cable on this end into where it says SATA. So in the power supply box, there should have been this little baggie with 4 screws. These are the screws you'll need to actually install the power supply into the PC case. These also come with the case in that little baggie. If you remember from earlier, they should look something like this. So to go ahead and install the power supply, have the fan side facing down, kind of bring this in. And then you're gonna wanna line up some of the threads from the power supply to the holes on the case, put in a screw, and start screwing it in. Ooh, and one more thing, if you're wondering what this switch on the back of the power supply does, this will help prime your computer to be turned on or not when we have everything done. So for the moment, keep it on the O, but when we have everything finished, we'll flick it to the line, but keep it at the O for now. Okay, so before we start plugging everything into the PC case, into the motherboard and anything else, let me go ahead and explain what each of these cables do. So this blue cable right here is your USB 3.0 header. This will be going onto the motherboard. This right here is your HD audio connector. This will let you plug in your headphones and your microphone into the PC case. This black connector right here with a really faint USB logo on it is your USB 2.0 header on your PC case for additional USB ports. This weird looking connector right here is your 5-volt 8 RGB header for the RGB on the fans in this PC case. You'll plug this into the motherboard, which will let you change the colors of your RGB fans. This right here are your front panel connectors for your power supply button, your LED button, your reset button. You get the idea. And then lastly, underneath all of that is this kind of weird tangle of cables. These are all 3 of your fans hooked up to this SATA connector, which will power on, and this will let us actually have RGB going on with our fans and actually power them on and let them run. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of the USB 3.0 header. Where you'll find this on the motherboard can be found in the manual. There's a little notch right here on the connector that matches up with this little plastic part right here. It'll only go in one way. Pretty straightforward. And there you go. Now let's come down here and deal with our front I/O connectors, which will go right here. Again, the location is dictated on the motherboard, and the actual layout for how you plug in each of these pins can also be found on the motherboard manual. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my time and do this. HDD LED goes on bottom, 2 power LEDs go on top, right above it. And then the power supply switch, the most important one, goes right next to the power LEDs. Just gotta follow the diagram, and there you go. Now let's go ahead and plug in our USB header where it says USB, and it's gonna go right here where it also says USB on the motherboard. It'll also only go in one way. There we go. Here is our HD audio connector where it says HD audio on the connector. This will always go on the bottom left of the motherboard, and like all the other connectors up until this point, this will only go in one way, so no worry about if you plug it in the wrong way. There you go. Now let's go ahead and deal with our big motherboard power connector, which has this latch right here, and then there's this little notch that will line it up with it. And as you guessed it, like with every other connector up until this point, this will only go in one way, so you won't mess this up. And then here on the top left, we're gonna go ahead and plug in our CPU power cable into the CPU power on the motherboard. And just like the motherboard power connector, this will only go in one way. Line up the latch with the notch on the power connector. You should hear it click. There you go. Here is our PCIe power connector, which we're just gonna leave inside the PC case because we'll soon plug in the graphics card into the motherboard, so we'll have that connector right here on the offhand. And then finally, let's plug in our SATA power connector into the RGB and fan controller for our PC case. Wabam. Okay, I lied. There's one more thing. So here is our 5-volt RGB header that actually lets us control the RGB on the fans in the PC case. And this will go into the 5-volt header on our motherboard. You can find the location of it on the motherboard manual. And as you can see, there are 3 holes on this. There's 3 pins on there. So let's make sure we line up the 2 pins with the 2 holes and the 1 pin with the 1 hole. There you have it. Now let's go ahead and install the graphics card. So let's unscrew this little latch where we're gonna put our graphics card. With this PC case, it looks like we're gonna have to break off the PCI covers where the graphics card is gonna go. So to find that out, here is the PCI cover that is going to go at the topmost slot, I believe. All right, let's break off these 2 PCI covers. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and place in the 6750 XT into the PC case. Does it fit? Oh my goodness, it might not actually fit. Wait, we might run into a code red right here. Hold up. Okay, so in a very interesting turn of events, the 6750 XT we chose wouldn't fit in the PC case that I had in mind, which is a really big oversight for me. So you could probably get another 6750 XT other than this Red Devil version one that is shorter and will still offer you the same performance, but obviously it won't look as cool. But fortunately, the 3060 Ti that I have on hand barely fits. So this is what we're gonna use with the build guide going forward, although I still recommend the 6750 XT. So once you have this installed, make sure to find it with that top PCI slot, press it in there like what I did earlier, and then grab some of the case screws, like the ones that you use for the power supply, and screw it into this side of the PC case. There you go, line it up with the hole. Okay. And the last thing to do is put back on this bracket protector that goes onto the PC case. And with the graphics card now fully installed, let's go ahead and power it on. Now this 3060 Ti is kind of special because it has 3 8-pin power connectors, and your 3060 Ti or 6750 XT you pick up is probably gonna have 2 8-pin power connectors, so it won't be as extreme as this, but either way. Okay, and with all that done, we finally have everything installed and ready to boot up the computer.
3 weeks later.
Okay, so a bit of time has passed since we last tried booting up this computer and nothing happened to it, but I found out the reason why, and it came down to the power supply. So with the power supply that came with this build, I decided to use that backup RTX 3060 Ti, which barely fit in the computer, but the issue with that was that it required 3 8-pin power connectors on the graphics card, which is highly unusual for an RTX 3060 Ti. And the power supply didn't come with a second PCIe cable, and I had to reuse one that didn't work, and I was unable to get any display out to the monitor, and I think the computer didn't even turn on at all. So after waiting for a little bit, I did receive an RTX 3060 Ti from another pre-built computer that had only a single 8-pin connector and could fit inside the PC case, so I decided to go ahead and use that. But that being said, I still highly recommend the 6750 XT for this gaming PC. That is going to be the best card for this $1,000 gaming PC, but for the sake of this build guide, we got to go with what fits inside the PC case and what is supported by the power supply, which is this basic Gigabyte RTX 3060 Ti. So with that whole kerfuffle out of the way, let me go ahead and get back to the video, that being how you should boot up this computer to install Windows. So once you have everything built, which should be at this point in the video, all you gotta do is plug in a keyboard and a mouse, get your monitor set up, and of course, supply power to your monitor. Don't wanna forget that. Then make sure to plug in either an HDMI or DisplayPort cable from the back of the monitor to your graphics card. And then on the back of the PC where the power supply is, make sure to flick the switch from the O to the line. That primes it and it's ready to turn on. And then the final thing you need is an 8GB or bigger flash drive for your Windows bootable media device. And for this tutorial, I'm choosing Windows 11 because the motherboard we chose with this computer already has a built-in Wi-Fi chip, and Wi-Fi is required to install Windows 11 if you're going to use one of these bootable media devices. Otherwise, stick it to Windows 10. But on a performance level, Windows 11 actually runs better on Intel-powered gaming PCs. So that and the onboard Wi-Fi is why we're going with a Windows 11 bootable media device in this PC, which, by the way, a link to that will be in the description below if you want to create one of these for yourself. So let's go ahead and plug this into one of the USB 3.0 ports on the back of the computer. Flick the switch on the power supply, power button, and now we wait. It's gonna be a little circle here. Just gotta wait. Hey, there we go. Everything is working, finally. And now let me show you how to install Windows and graphics card drivers on this computer, and how to enable XMP in the BIOS. All right, so let's go ahead and install Windows 11. And it looks the same as Windows 10, but you'll see in a bit that this is a little bit different. Okay, so here we're gonna go ahead and insert our VIP SCD key that we got from, again, VIP SCD key. I went ahead and used my discount code VIP Scatter, and I got this for about 24 bucks. It was originally 30. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter in this key, letter and number at a time. Which, by the way, you can find VIP SCD key in my discount code linked in the description below. And there you go, went through. I accept, next, custom. There is our 1TB NVMe M.2 SSD, hit next, and now we just wait. All right, so let's go ahead and finish up the installation. So choose your country, don't need a second layout. Now go ahead and connect to your Wi-Fi connection. All right, go ahead and hit next. Let's go ahead and skip that. Gonna set this up for personal use. So here, go ahead and enter in the email account that is associated with your Microsoft account. If you don't have one, you can go ahead and create one. This is what you're gonna have every time you, say, log on to your Microsoft Store account to buy anything, or this could just be for general updates. I already have one, so I'm gonna go ahead and enter that in. Okay, let's go ahead and create a PIN. I'm going to be really simple. Just choose ASDF and ASDF because they're really quick and simple. Now, all of these privacy settings I turn off because they are additional processes that can cloud up the processes in your background and use up potential resources on your computer. I don't want any of these, so let's skip that. And I don't need to set that up. Don't need that. And I don't need Game Pass. Okay, now we're just gonna wait. First, before installing any drivers, you have no access to Wi-Fi for some weird reason. One thing you can do right now is to install the correct Wi-Fi drivers for your motherboard since they probably aren't updated. So in order to do that, type in B660 Gaming AXDR4 into the Google search bar or whatever computer you're gonna be using. Click on the first link, click on support, go to driver, go to WLAN, which is another word for wireless. And here I know it's kind of weird, but this says AMD Wi-Fi driver, and that's what you need to install onto a separate flash drive, whether that be a 4 GB to a 32 GB flash drive, and plug that into this computer to ensure that you install Wi-Fi onto this computer if for any reason it doesn't work when you boot it up into Windows. So with that, now we have the Wi-Fi good, and let's resume the installation. And now let's go ahead and install those graphics card drivers. Now, I don't like Edge, so we'll go ahead and immediately install Chrome. Download Chrome. All right, now let's get started. So we have an RTX 3070 Ti in this system, or 3060 Ti. So let's go ahead and type in NVIDIA graphics card drivers. Really simple. Click on the link with the nvidia.com logo. All right, let's go ahead and select our graphics card, that being the 3060 Ti. Here's our Windows 11 driver. Let's go ahead and download that. And while that's running, let me go ahead and show you how to install Radeon drivers. So, same thing, type in Radeon drivers into Google, go into the one that has the AMD.com link. Now go ahead and select your graphics card, which should be the 6750 XT, hit submit, and then under the Windows 11 bar, here you can install the latest graphics card driver for the 6750 XT. Same sort of process as getting one for the 3060 Ti. Okay, now you should get to here after installing the graphics card drivers from NVIDIA's website or Radeon's. Should be pretty straightforward. Choose the Express option, just let this do its thing. Okay, once this says finished, go ahead and hit close. And this will go ahead and open up the GeForce Experience app. Now, you don't need to proceed any farther if you're doing this for your first time, but anytime you want to update your graphics card drivers, you are going to have to type in your Windows search bar, GeForce Experience, or Radeon software if you're using an AMD graphics card, and that'll let you update your graphics card drivers. However, if you go with the 3060 Ti, just note you will have to create your own account anytime you want to log into GeForce Experience, whereas with AMD cards, you don't need to do that. So you're pretty much done, but the last thing I want you to do is to enable the XMP profile for your RAM in the BIOS, which in order to do that, we're gonna go ahead and restart the computer and spam either the delete key or the F2 key on your keyboard. So for me, I'm gonna spam F2 and wait for this to finish. There we go. Now we are in the BIOS, and the only thing we need to do is hit XMP to profile 1, and that is it. Then hit save and exit, and you are ready to get to gaming on your $1,000 gaming PC build. Okay, we're gonna be starting off with Forza Horizon 5. We're gonna try out the new Lamborghini Scion, if that's how you pronounce it. It sounds good, and this gaming PC should run the game with ease. We're running this at ultra settings. Oops, almost forgot this. Look at the top left corner of the screen. That is the FPS meter. If you like what you see, then that is about the performance you're gonna get, but I'm not a fan of the understeer. Why do default cars gotta have so much understeer, Forza? Try to turn the car and it just refuses to turn. Oh, check this out. Oh, whatever, that was, that was mediocre. And there's so much understeer in this thing, because it's all-wheel drive. And the Forza AI is just gonna slow down. All right, anyways, there you have it. Easy 100 frames per second at ultra settings. You just go fast in a straight line, because this is a game for car guys and whatnot. The drifting is like, it's assisted drifting, you know? Racing lines, they don't matter. You can take a narrow line and carry the same speed through a corner as a wide line. Doesn't matter. Oh my god, just the car has a mind of its own. It's assisted driving at this point. You know what though, let's see what the, oh, we can't even, okay. What are the graphical settings the game chose for us? We are at 1440p, graphics quality auto. What does auto entail? I guess we'll never know. Either way, that's the frame rate on the top left. I'm assuming it's running it at fairly highish to maybe ultra settings. It looks good, runs good. Turn to some normalcy, that being Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I've decided to run the game at balanced settings, not ultra, not extreme, because I want high frame rate. And right now, if you look at the FPS meter on the top left, we're getting about 120, sometimes dipping into the 144s. So at 1440p, yeah, you can definitely get 1440p at 144 hertz or even 165 if you were to optimize the graphics settings a little bit. There's some baddies, I don't care. I'm gonna start shooting at them. I need action right now. I'll tell you what though, I ran this game on a $400 gaming PC, which you can totally check out if you want, but you don't need a super expensive gaming PC to run this game. If you're just gonna play at 1080p, you probably need like a $700 computer, honestly. Maybe even 600, you can get away with that. Yeah, we're going in. We're going in. No armor plates. Totally raw. There's another guy right. Oh yeah. Oh, we're turning around. Get him behind here. I've not gotten any frame drops whatsoever. It's probably a good point that the 6750 XT runs this game probably better than the 3060 Ti, because Modern Warfare 2 runs really excellent on AMD GPUs. So if you were just planning on building this gaming PC to run this game, definitely get the 6750 XT, because that has so much more horsepower underneath it to run this game. All right, am I satisfied? I'm satisfied. I give up. I'm level 1. I do not play this game. I absolutely do not. I'm probably gonna leave it in a few minutes. I'm only showing you guys how this gaming PC runs Valorant, just because I know it's gonna be asked about in the comment section. But just so you already know, it's gonna be way too easy. Was that a guy?
Spike planted. One enemy
Did I just get it,
remaining.
dude? Are we winning this? Yo, we're winning this. Let's go. It'd be awesome if, like, as a level 1 noob, like, I just show up for this match. That'd be crazy. Although I have no clue what the heck the character special thingies do. Yep, I'm out. I'm out.
Spike
What does E do?
Scanning ahead.
Oh! Woo!
One enemy remaining. Spike down. C.
2-0 KD, let's go. Look at the FPS on the top left, by the way. 300. It's like, bruh. We should be all good, man. Oh! Oh, no. Oh! Yo! Okay, I think to close out the video, we're gonna go ahead and play some Fortnite. Of course, all you guys want to see it. I've got the game running right now at, I believe, high settings. Let's check that. Got the game running at custom settings. I believe it's at the high preset, but I went ahead and lowered the post-processing and effects because those we don't need. But I bumped up the view distance to epic so we can get that extra distance in our vision to hopefully better our gameplay. Can we pick off this dude? Oh, nope. Oh, this gun sucks. Look, he just builds. You know, maybe I should have done no build mode. Oh yeah, we're getting out of here. Busting out the shotgun. And I got killed by the dude from Walking Dead. Love this game. Such a joy to the world, am I right? By the way, FPS meter in the top left. You hadn't caught that. Okay, some good. Who cares? What does this thing do? Woo! Don't build! Oh, dude's got cover. What the hell? Ooh! Can I just go to this building and chill out? Ah, bruh. Come on. Bruh. Oh, bro! I'm done. I'm done. And with the benchmarks done, let's go ahead and close out this video with my final thoughts on this computer, which, just to tell you straight up, you don't need to spend more than $1,000 on a gaming PC. The performance of this computer is going to be what 95% of you who would ever want a gaming PC are going to be looking for, because this is primed for 1440p high frame rate gaming, probably around 144 frames per second depending on the game, and even a little bit higher than that if it's like something like Valorant, because that'll easily get into the 300s. And even if it's a AAA modern day game that just released, like Need for Speed Unbound, you're still gonna get above 100 frames per second at the end of the day with some very nice graphics. So seriously, if you pair up an i5 or a 6-core Ryzen processor with an RTX 3060 Ti, RX 6700 XT, or 6750 XT, you're gonna be more than fine. You don't need to spend crazy amounts on a super expensive gaming PC to get a good gameplay experience, because for $1,000, it can deliver exactly that. If you need anything more than this, then I'd be willing to bet you're a creative professional who needs the use of a graphics card or processor for some business or company related matters where you do need the highest end of components. But for the majority of you watching this video, that's not you. You're a gamer. This is all you need. You don't need to spend more than $1,000 on this computer, because I have zero complaints. Other than the case choice, I wish it was longer so I could fit in the 6750 XT I actually had in mind for this build that would have actually produced more performance than the 3060 Ti. But other than that hiccup, thank you guys so much for watching this build video, and once again, links to all the parts that I used throughout this build guide can be found in the description below. And if you enjoyed what you've seen, you're probably going to hit that subscribe button, because I'm always going to be putting out build guides like this, and they'll hopefully get a little bit better each time. So with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and this is the ScatterVolt channel, signing out.